Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ray. I am a detransition male, and today I'm going to be diving into how gender identity ideology spreads. Like, what is the mechanism through which this ideology is propagating? Like, how are people actually coming to develop trans identities? Like, how do you take a normal person and turn them into someone with a trans identity? Well, I want to share this website that I found called turnmeintoagirl.com. So this is kind of crazy just hearing about it, but yes, turn me into a girl. If you're reading this, you could be a girl. Maybe you already are. I mean, this is the lunacy of the gender identity ideology. It is sort of taking I don't know. We just have to get into this because this is very insidious. This is how the propaganda spreads. Um, so so you want to be a girl? If you're uncomfortable the way you are, or even just curious, there's nothing stopping you from living a better life. We can't change your gender, but we can help you discover who you've always been. Click the button above to get started. So even if you're just a little bit uncomfortable, oh, you're a boy, maybe you're sensitive, maybe you're shy, maybe you're introverted, maybe you don't get along with the macho men, maybe you don't play sports, maybe you like art or you're creative or you just have slightly non-normative interest, that you're not like 100% aligned with all the stereotypes about what it means to be masculine in the society. You're just a little bit uncomfortable, or you're just curious. Maybe you have a good imagination. Maybe you're autistic. Maybe you think in black and white categories. Oh well, you might be a girl. Like, no, rather than thinking like you might just be a sensitive boy, ra- rather than thinking you just might be a non-conforming boy, or like maybe you're gay. Like, no, you actually might be a girl. So let's see what happens when we click this button. Turn me into a girl. Which, by the way, just this whole premise of turn me into a girl, it kind of fits into sort of AGP fantasy of this sort of transmogrification, this sort of fan fiction, like reality where just you just have this fantasy of being transformed. It's sort of like very common to have these fantasies, particularly if you're AGP. So okay, I'm gonna turn myself into a girl. Let's see what happens. Let me be honest here. You could be a girl. There's nothing stopping you. There's nothing stopping you. It's just completely arbitrary. You could be a girl. You could not be a girl. Is that really what you want? But if you're at this point and if your wish is sincere, it's because there's some part of you that really wants to live as a woman. And that's totally okay. You can be a woman if you want to, and we'll help you get there. This is so insane. You can be a woman if you want to. No, that's not how it works. Like like that doesn't work in any other ontological category. You can be a cat if you want to. You can be black if you want to. You can be a millionaire if you want to. You can be a tree if you want to. No, that doesn't work in any other ontological category of existence, of reality, of objectivity. They're just wishing you were something doesn't make you that thing. This is wish fulfillment. This is fantasy. This is sort of taking people's insecurities. They're being uncomfortable in the male gender role, like having any sort of nonconformity with respect to the toxic masculinity. This sort of internalized misandry, this like hatred of being masculine that we've internalized from our society. When if you're a young boy, and all these messages about how men are toxic, masculinity is toxic, Andrew Tate is toxic, being a man is toxic, being macho is toxic, and like, yeah, you're gonna wish to be something else. Um, Nothing's permanent about this decision. If you decide you don't like it, you can always choose to stop being a girl. Yes, because like that's how reality works. You can just arbitrarily choose to stop being what you are. And this also, this is completely contradictory, because the whole gender identity movement is premised on this idea that it's like this biological thing, that is sort of this immutable aspect of yourself, like your skin color or your ethnicity or something. Like, no, like, you can't just choose it. They make it seem like it's like, choosing to go to Burger King because you're hungry, or you're like choosing, that it, they sort of like oscillate between this idea that it's just like this radical choice, and it's just like you just make a choice. You can go back and forth. There, but and this idea that it's like this immutable, unchangeable part of yourself. It's either immutable and unchangeable, or it's not. But there's sort of a contradictoriness here. Uh, Nobody but you can permanently change your gender. No, you can't change your gender just because you wish. Uh, Nobody can trick you into wanting to be a girl if you didn't before. This whole entire website is premised on the idea of tricking you into wanting to be a girl. That's the whole website. All we can do is help you reconnect with your own existing desire. No, desires can be created out of thin air by propaganda like this. You can just be a sensitive, non-conforming boy who's shy, and maybe you have a little bit of AGP or something, and then suddenly you have a desire to be a woman, and you sort of trick yourself into thinking that you actually are a woman because of websites like this, rather than thinking that you're just a male who has AGP, which is the actual factual reality. You delude yourself into thinking that you actually are the thing you wish to be. No matter how you found this site, this is your decision. Nobody else should make it but you. You can always come back later if you're not ready yet. You are 100% valid no matter what you choose. Yes, you're just like valid no matter what. Like, it's just, this language of validity. I mean, this is why gender identity ideology is a cult. It's a religion. It's spiritual. It's about this like inner choosing, this inner feeling that is it's not based in objectivity, but they want to have it both ways. They want to make this like a serious medical condition, like a biological brain disease or something, but it's also just like this radical free will decision that's completely disconnected from any actual biological reality. It's just like, it's just like this radical choice. If you're ready, go make some tea, sit down in a quiet, calm space, and give yourself as much time as you need. Okay, I want to be a girl. Um, if you're not sure, consider the following questions. Does imagining yourself as a woman help you relate to other women? That's also common with AGP. Do you wish your friends would see you and treat you as a woman? Also AGP. Do you wish you could wear more feminine or cute feminine clothing? Do you find your assigned gender's clothing boring or unexpressive? You don't have, like, boys can wear whatever they want. This idea that, like, oh, if you want to be feminine, you must be a girl. That is such regressive, like, horseshit. Boys can wear feminine clothing. That doesn't make them women. That doesn't make them girls. Like, this idea. This is why people say that the trans cult is like reinforcing gender stereotypes, because they say like only girls are into feminine things. No, boys can be feminine. Like, you don't have to be a girl to like want to wear feminine clothing, and that's very common with AGP anyway. Do you wish you could be seen as more feminine with feminine coded traits, cute or soft or empathetic? Like, that is regressive. That is stereotyping. We're trying, like, the whole purpose of feminism is to get rid of this stereotype between femininity, or between being a girl or female, and being feminine. Like, but they're sort of saying feminine coded. What is feminine coded? That means a stereotype. Do you want to wake up tomorrow in a woman's body, AGP? Are you curious about what it must feel like to be a woman and what women have to go through? Um, yeah, a lot of people are curious. You just could just be an imaginative person. You could just be curious. But like, you can also be curious about what it's like to be a bird. That doesn't make you a bird. You could be curious about what it's like to be a black person. That doesn't make you black. Do you wish people would call you she or her or refer to you in more feminine ways? Um, like that, just wishing for something doesn't make you that thing. Um, do you have a big stupid grin on your face right now while reading this? That's called AGP. That's called like psychosocial euphoria, or psychosexual euphoria. um, these are things most women want, or at least most women who want a feminine leaning presentation. That is regressive stereotypes. That is the opposite of what feminism is all about. Like feminism is about your sex. It is about your sexed body. It's not about femininity. Like people who aren't women generally don't want these things at all. No, that's false. That is regressive. Like boys can want these things. Just because you want to be feminine doesn't mean you're not a boy. It could just mean you're non-conforming, you're gender non-conforming. There's lots of boys who are gender non-conforming, and this whole idea that if you're gender non-conforming, that you must be a girl, that is absolute regressive horseshit. So, okay, let's click this button and like see what happens when I want to be a girl. Okay, then, as you wish, please wait warmly. Um, and this whole website, I mean, this is how gender ideology spreads. And this is how cult membership spreads. Like, is through websites like this. This is a very dangerous ideology because it turns boys it into confused boys who think that they are girls because of this propaganda, because of this false philosophy whereby they sort of like convince themselves that you can just like do some magical thinking and like suddenly you're a totally different sex. Congratulations, you're a girl now. You might not feel much different yet, but that's okay. Only a girl would have wanted to click that button. No, you could be a confused boy and also want to click that button. Confused boys would definitely want to click that button. That means you're a girl on the inside through and through. No, it doesn't. It just means that you probably have AGP, you probably have a sexual, psychosexual fantasy about this, or maybe you're just like a confused gender non-conforming homosexual who like want or is like hyper feminine, and now you're being told that you're actually a girl. You're being confused. Like this is philosophical confusion. This is ideology. This is fantasy. This is wish fulfillment. If you need permission to live your life as a woman, you have it. If this is what you want, don't let anyone, including yourself, hold you back. And if you ever want to change your mind about this later, that's totally fine. Your choice is 100% valid. Give yourself the chance to explore. Good luck out there. We're rooting for you. See what's next. And they have, these quotes over here from these like influencers. If you want to be a girl for any reason, you can just go be a girl. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Don't push the thought from your mind again or say you'll think about it later. Let yourself believe this can happen. It'll work out. You'll be okay. No, it often won't work out. You often won't be okay. Your life will often get worse. You'll just, you'll become depressed by the fact that you're not passing. Well, why would you care about passing? Well, what is passing? Passing is a male wanting to present themselves as female. Well, it's very hard for males to present themselves as females, but why not just be happy being a feminine male? Why not just be happy being a gender nonconforming male? Why do you have to like develop all this anxiety and neuroticism about passing, trying to be something not? And then you're going to go down this medical pathway and like have all this, permanent, irreversible, harm. You're going to like, invert your penis and like get all this surgery and like just become a lifelong medical patient because some website like told you that you're a girl. I'm like, that's crazy. Common objections. Perhaps you hadn't realized that you even could be a girl. Maybe you don't feel like one quite yet. Or maybe you even feel like you're not good enough to be a girl. Don't worry about it too much. All new girls are likely to have reservations. New girls? No, there's no such thing as being a new girl. You know who's a new girl? A newborn baby. That's who's a new girl. But this idea of becoming like a new girl, that's ludicrous, and it sort of contradicts the idea that this is like an immutable thing that you're born with. So this is just like, it's so crazy. Like, but I don't feel like a woman. That's okay. And it doesn't change the fact that you could be a woman inside. It's totally normal to not feel like a woman all the time. And if you feel depressed or anxious because you don't feel like a woman, but you wish you did, that feeling is called gender dysphoria. And we have some resources to help you manage this feeling below. What, like, this doesn't make any sense because it used to be that gender dysphoria was you felt like a woman but you knew you weren't a woman, and that incongruity is what caused the gender dysphoria. But now, if you don't even feel like a woman, like, but you wish you felt like a woman, that means you have gender dysphoria. Well, you know who also doesn't feel like a woman? Everybody, because there's no such thing as feeling like a woman. What does it mean to feel like a woman? Well, as they said, like, it's about feminine coded things. So if you just like feminine things, if you just like are a non-conforming male, somehow that means feeling like a woman. Or it's sort of all these like these anti-feminist stereotypes. Oh, you feel like a woman. Well, I'm a little emotional today. I watched this really touching ad on TV and it made me cry. So therefore I feel like a woman. No, that's a stereotype. That is a stereotype that that's not feeling like a woman. There's no such thing as feeling like a woman. Womanhood is not a feeling, it is a biological reality. But just because I want to be a woman doesn't mean I actually can be one. Yes, that is true. That is a fact. As a fundamental truth, we hold that gender is always self identified. In fact, self identification is the only meaningful way to determine gender. This means that nobody but you can say whether you're a man, a woman, or anything else. If there's any part of you that wants to be a woman, that could mean that you're not comfortable with the gender you were assigned at birth. Please take a while to sit with that feeling and learn what it's trying to tell you. No, that's very common. Like, almost nobody is like a 100% happy with the gender you're assigned at birth. There's almost no male on this planet who's like totally happy with all the stereotypes and expectations that society puts on men. This whole idea like men can't cry, men can't be sensitive, men can't be artful or creative or like share their feelings. Like, that is repressive and harmful to men. But that is a toxic stereotype. But like, very few men are like 100% on board with every single stereotype about men ever. Like, men are complicated, boys are complicated, but this idea that like, oh, if you're like the slightest bit uncomfortable with like any sort of gendered norm at all, then like that means you're a girl. And this whole idea that like self-identification is like this the fundamental truth of like gender. No, that's not how it works. That doesn't work with anything else. Like, does that work with race? Well, why not? I mean, like, the modern woke left says that race is a social construct. Well, if gender is a social construct, why can't you self-identify your way into being black? Well, that doesn't work. Why not? Like they say, the woke left says that race is socially constructed. And if the reason why you can self-identify into gender is because gender is also a social construct, well, why can't you self-identify into being black? But you trans race, that's supposed to be transphobic. But but we clearly see the absurdity of like self-identifying as being black. Like, a white person is not a black person, but a male is not a female. It's an objective biological reality. You can't just self-identify into that. Like, that's just and that just doesn't make you like, wishing you were a thing doesn't make you a thing. That is just like a basic ontological fact that's applicable in all categories of reality. But I'm too old to be a woman. Nobody's too old to transition into a woman's life. What does that mean? That just means living up to stereotypes. That just means being feminine. But that is a stereotype. Um, People at the ages of 8, 28, and 80 have transitioned to live successful, fulfilling lives as women. The best time to start would have been when you were younger, but the second best time is today. You owe this to yourself, no matter where and when you start from. But nobody will ever see me as a woman. I'll never pass. Looking like a woman according to society's standard is a skill that you can learn and practice. You'll get better at learning what works for you and what doesn't. This just means like being a stereotype and like giving yourself a lot of anxiety and neuroticism because it's really hard for trans women to look female. Just start with what makes you feel comfortable. Presenting femininely is hard, even for cis women to learn. No, cis women, or AKA females, like they don't have to try to look female because they are female. It's just a fact. Like a female can roll out of bed and be female because they're female. Like like you don't learn to be a woman. You just are a woman because it's a biological fact. Like a woman is a woman regardless of whether she learns how to wear makeup, like, because she's female. But I don't have the right to be a woman. Everyone has the right to live as the gender that makes them the happiest in terms of roles, expressions in society. There's no inherent value towards being female, just as there's no inherent value in being male. The only person who benefits or is harmed by living as a woman is you. So please don't let yourself live as a martyr for society's sake. This is the exact logic that, like, married men who are like have, like, been married for like 2 decades and have 3 kids, they blow up their marriage and it develops this narcissistic self-obsession where they only consider their own happiness and their own life. And this is how you get trans widows, because they think that the only thing that who benefits or harms is like yourself. It's so narcissistic, it's so selfish, and they think like they don't think about uh, other people. They like only consider their own happiness, their own selfish pursuit of this like idea of like being a woman, which is based on a fantasy. And I'm not saying, like, I do believe in a libertarian society, the right to take these medical interventions. Like, I think you have the right to do that as an adult with informed consent. But you have to consider, if you're an ethical person, you need to consider the impact on other people. Because, let's say you want to play sports. Well, playing sports, that's going to impact other people. If you're trying to be a male who's competing on the female team, yeah, that's going to, potentially harm those females. But this idea that there's like no social impact to this, I don't know. It's just so narcissistic. Like, I don't know if I want to be a woman or if I just don't want to be a man. That's totally valid. Maybe you might not be sure whether you're drawn towards femininity or if you just want to avoid masculinity. You don't have to have all the answers yet. Just guide yourself towards whatever helps you feel more comfortable. If you find yourself feeling alienated by masculinity but not necessarily attracted to femininity, you could be non-binary or gender non-conforming. Yeah, like, or everything you said, this whole website could be you just gender non-conforming. The entire, like, all of this is compatible with like gender non-conforming. Like, none of these things mean that you're anything other than just a gender non-conforming male who has like autogynephilia, who like fantasizes about being a woman because it's exciting and it gives you like gender euphoria, aka euphoria boners. This particular page centers the experience of binary trans women, but you're valid no matter how you identify. This whole I don't know. I'm this whole website. It's crazy, but this is how the trans propaganda spreads. This is how the cult of gender identity ideology spreads. Like, it is a social contagion because people spread these websites around. I found this website just like browsing on like trans TikTok, where people are like, like sharing this, and you're gonna have confused, vulnerable boys, young and like young adults, and or like you're gonna be 40 years old and you have AGP, and you're gonna stumble upon this site, and you're gonna like convince yourself that you're actually a woman, that you're actually the opposite sex because you read some website who has like confused like gender nonsense philosophy, and really you're just a male who's gender non conforming, who likely has AGP. And rather than understanding the actual cause of like why you have these feelings, you're going to just delude yourself into thinking that you really are this thing because you went through this crazy thought experiment on a website that's like has this radical gnostic gender subjectivity, where it's like gender is this magical essential thing. It's all about your inner feelings, has no bearing on an objective reality. And somehow, like, responding to this with like medicalization to like take you down this radical medical path where you're gonna like, invert your penis and like do all these crazy things and like permanently sterilize yourself because you read a website. I mean, this is like th- this is lunacy. And I think people need to wake up to this, and like there needs to be more awareness of how this ideology spreads, like how this Gnostic cult spreads, and it spreads through websites like this, which are very common. That like these trans women are all over the internet spreading this amongst themselves on Reddit, on Discord, on TikTok, on Twitter, on all these platforms. This is how the ideology spreads, and this is how people get convinced that they're the like opposite gender, because you have this like these philosophical fantasies that are convincing the people with this like twisted logic, and it's just so groundless, it's so baseless, it's so destructive. And like people need to like have a more reality based understanding of who they are and why they feel these feelings, which is almost entirely rooted in autogynephilia, which is a so okay, that's enough rambling for one video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.